Hello. Good to see you all again. It is a day. It is a day. Kitty poo poo. Good to see you, my friend. I am just gonna do some data stuff. So we'll see if Josh 31 UT. Great to have you in. Thank you for the follow. And we're gonna do some data stuff today. I'm just typing in. Good to see you, Cubs fan Steve. How you doing? And yeah, we're gonna go through some data stuff today. So I thought I'd go through and show you what I'm doing with iron. I don't know if Lap's gonna bring everybody over or not, but let's see. Let's see what we can do. Let's see. I'm gonna do some irons. So today was my day. I wanted to update my irons and figure out how I can get my iron tournaments a little bit better. And I don't do modeling in the same way everyone else does. Good to see you, Nasbase. Great to have everyone back again. It's a never dull moment back and forth on things, and we'll keep things running until Dr. Dynamic comes on. So if Dr. Dynamic shows up, data, wOBA. See, I'm doing things the layman's way of doing things, which may not be that layman. Nas Base Pack Only Team, thank you for the follow. Great to have you and all your bots in and enjoying some additional pack drops as we go through. Dr. Dynamic is TTC eligible? Oh, no, I always call him Dr. Dynamic. It's what I do. It's what I do because he's all over the place. So, how y'all doing? You have mislicked at one point. Well, thank you. Thank you for following AW as well. Thank you, Deke23. Great to have you all in here. If you're trying to get your drops coming through, great to have you all in. And yeah, we're going to do a little thing I try to do around my tournaments. And today in New York City, it is rainy and kind of gray and kind of gold, but I do have power. I do have power. And I do not need a generator here in New York, luckily. So great to have you all in. So here's what I'm going to do. I've got this team here. It's an iron tourney team. And I've been playing some early irons and some daily irons. So what I suggest is I'd go through and pull out the stats from those to see who performed well. And again, it's not raining cats and kitty kitties. No kitty kitties here. And I'm trying to go through and figure out how can I don't have a full model going through. I can see when you go through and look at a tournament, right? I can go look at a tournament and look at the statistics. And I can see that certain players have done well in the tournament, right? There's certain players that, Curry Foley is the guy you're going to hit. You say you love the Bob Forsch card. It's for just like real life. He's not flashy, but he's pretty reliable. And you can take a look at your pitching leaders. And you can see who's winning lots of games and taking a look at, okay, that's 77 movement, 108 control there. This crowd is wild. Good to see you, Sean Sol. How you doing? And so you can kind of look at the stats from this way to get an idea of what players you might want to play. This Sherry Smith card, probably a good card to play. And you take a look at the Sherry Smith card, it has this look that we've been seeing a lot of cards do well with as far as an overall look right now early in the cycle. High control, good over 75 home run allowed here, and iron is good. And the P-BABIP's pretty nice. And stuff doesn't seem to matter as much. You can see, look at his, gave up a lot of hits, didn't give up a lot of runs, which is really interesting in this last 5-4. 8 innings, 13 hits. You also see the pitch count's really high. This is a early iron, which I think is, again, longer pitcher counts in this era. So there's a lot of little factors here that you have to take into account. And I'm going to just muddy things up a bit But I like to go down to the next level of things. When you go into stats, so we were going through and looking at the overall statistics, right? We were taking a look at to see who the top pitchers are. And we can eyeball it, and you can definitely use this as a quick and easy way to go through and figure out which of the different cards I should be playing in Iron tournaments, right? And you'll see certain names come up often than others. And so maybe those are people you want to take a look at, right? This Sherry Smith shows up 1, 2, 3 times in overall complete games. I'm not necessarily help you. The War, you'll see some different players, but again, it's a small sample. You only have as many teams as you had, the number of innings that they had. You know, this is 28 innings of play. You need a lot more data. Francis Lee Bueno has been amazing for you in Iron. I've seen that card. I like that. 3 losses, 3 complete games. Yes, there you go. Exactly. Thanks for watching so many times, Nazbase. Always great to have you here. So, how can I go through and get enough data? So, if you enter enough tourneys, you can actually go through this sortable stats tab. In sortable stats, it has all the different pitching stats that are available that you can pull out of the game. So everything about what they did is here. And you can go through and aggregate all the different Sherry Smiths, right? So if I want to look at Sherry Smiths, we can go down here and find some Sherry Smiths somewhere in here. And you see Sherry Smiths had all sorts of different WAR and numbers and various types of play, but I can aggregate all these players together to get an idea, not just over 28 innings or 51 innings of that one who had a 2.6 WAR, but all the innings, 34, 51, another 25, another 50. So I get closer to a couple hundred innings of a certain player in this environment and understand how they play. Now, what I've done as well is that you can go through at any point here and actually change the columns that you want to extract. So I've created a specific thing under pitching stats where I'm taking out certain things, and you can click on it, you could add and edit columns, and you could add in different pitching stats in. So for example, I've added in a couple different things that I need for an equation I'd like to use. Is there an easy way to account for, filter out data from against gym unknowns? No. So that is always going to be something that's going to be difficult. So that's always, if you've got gym unknowns, it's going to kill your data a little bit. Some people will look a lot better than they should. And that's why larger and larger samples will be helpful. The other thing that I've pulled on here, which is new this year, great to have you here as well, Alternative Realms, is the PT is Combinator and PT Combinator level. And I also pull out the PT card ID. Now, and this allows me to discern between different cards. So I know that it's this version of the card versus this version of the card versus another version of the card. So I can keep them kind of separate. So what am I doing? So I've changed the fields that I've pulled out, and I've pulled out some interesting fields here. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to go through and equate this equation. I'm using the wOBA, the weighted on base average, as a way to evaluate players. So I'm going to go take a look at the pitching wOBA. I want the lowest wOBA possible, and the hitting wOBA for hitters, and the highest wOBA possible. So I need to extract base on balls, hit by pitched, singles, doubles, triples, home runs, at bats, sacrifice flies, and I think that's it, and intentional walks. And if I'm able to extract all those different pieces, good to have you here. We're doing a little bit of, if you're just joining us from Laptops Raid, thank you for coming in. We're doing a little bit of data extraction from the tournament so we can kind of figure out what we think the better cards might be at a certain level. Today we're doing Iron. wOBA is very fun to say in here. wOBA, wOBA, wOBA. Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. So I want to be able to extract these specific fields from the stats from my tournaments. And so what I'm doing is I've made sure that the fields I have in all the specific stats that I'm looking for. I've got the singles, the doubles, the triples. I've got the intentional walks. I've got the strikeouts. I've got the hits batsmen, sacrifice flies, all there. Distraction, as always, distraction. So I've got this now, and now what I can do is I can do report, and I can write this report to a CSV file. I can write it to disk, but it just shows up in a browser. I prefer writing to a CSV file, and it will show you where in your overall system is that specific file, that CSV file. So that's what you're trying to do, is you're going to find this file. And I do the same thing for hitting. So I have a similar one. I've got a batter extraction data, and I've done the same thing, and I got to make sure I'm choosing all the batters. And again, this is not a foolproof way of doing things. It just gives me a feel. So now I've got this I've got all this data in here for all these different players, and now, you know, it's great that Aaron Miles had an 800 average, but he did it in 5 at bats, right? So I was going to compare with some other ones and say, is this card good or not? And again, I don't have a lot of data here to compare Aaron Miles to other players. Now I've extracted those 2 CSV files. And now this is where the fun begins, if it's fun. Captain Kegleg, thank you so much. It's good to see you, my friend. Hope your day has been a good one and you stayed dry and warm. Port Hose 2610, enjoy your subscription. Marbiek 77, enjoy your subscription. GB Moore 121, enjoy the subscription. Zoner 52, enjoy your subscription. And Nersha, there you go. So, is it Portos? It's Portos. Versus Starboard Hosts. Hey there. It's all good. It's all good. So now what I'm going to do... This crowd is wild. Thank you, RK Brasse, for following. Thank you, Captain Kegleg, again. Captain Kegleg asked me to stream till midnight last night, and I did. So now I'm going to go through and import that data. And what I've done is scary looking. It's a lot of data. It's basically spreadsheet time. Are you guys ready for spreadsheet time? So, oops, not there. So I've imported all the data. I have all the fields here. This is my iron pitching raw. And I've gone through and extracted all the data. And what I've done is a couple qualifiers just to kind of make it easy for some certain things. I've added a couple things. I've added the date of the tournament, and I've added the player ID. So I've just done one of my April 1st ones in here, and I'm going to add one more row to the bottom here. And I'm going to add in some more pitching data here. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to do File, Import, and I'm going to go upload that CSV file that I now have to figure out where it is. There it is. And I've got my CSV file for my pitching, and I'm going to add it in. And I'm going to append it to the existing sheet. Hit import data. And that's going to just give me all the data from this second tournament for pitching that I'm pulling for this specific date. I'm going to delete this row with the header on it. I like to keep it just so I can compare and make sure it matches the row, you know, the column headers above, and all the data looks right. It does. I'm going to go through and copy over this piece. And now I've got a big set of data. I've got 3,000 lines of data. Again, not enough data typically to do that. I'm still very early in pulling it together, data. And getting freaky in the sheets. There you go. And so now what I'm doing is I've created a pivot table. And I've done with this pivot table is I've taken the player name and I've come up with all the things I needed when I was trying to create this Fangraphs wOBA. And I've aggregated by each player. So you'll see like Francis Lee Bueno, which you're talking about. I now have 407, I think that's batters faced or plate appearances against him that I have in my data. And I have all the different equations here that I'm looking for. And now it's all aggregated. I just want to make sure I've included all the rows. I've imported a lot more rows. I've got them all in now. I could go through and filter this just to look at the date from the last couple days. As you go through, do I have date as a? Did I have date in the column on this? I didn't have date in the column. As you go through, data gets old. You may only want to take the last week's worth of data and not rely on a couple other weeks. As new cards come in the game, as people get smarter about building their teams, you don't want to keep relying on the old data. That's why I have a date next to the data, so I can go through and eventually filter to only include recent data. You want to go through and do some announcements of names? So I've got this in, and now what I have over here to the right is I've actually done an aggregated wOBA for every player. And I think I failed by not getting. Let's do this. And so I've got a grand total, and this is the grand total down here of the wOBA that I've had in Iron League so far. So the wOBA, the weighted on base average that I've had in this league is 333. For pitchers then, I want to find pitchers. So you have to export data from one tournament at a time. Yes, you do. And that's why I prefer doing the big daily tournaments with lots of data than doing a lot of the quick tournaments. The quick tournaments typically are a very short number of games, not a lot of data in them. So you're better off pulling from daily tournaments because you're going to have more data to play with. There you go. You can go frame by frame and get all the wOBAs. Again, your data will vary depending on what tournaments you're in. You want to get in more tournaments the more you have. So what I've done as well is I've also put in the, what is MDs? I don't know what MD is. Oh, the meltdowns. I just for fun put some meltdowns here on this. Alex Vesia has 54 meltdowns in my data. That's not good. Alex Vesia. Not good. Average wOBA, and there's the meltdowns. And so now what I've done is I've got all these players in here. And so I've created little additional pivot tables based on this. And what I want to do is take a look at, this may be everyone. This is the lowest wOBA to some of the higher wOBAs. And again, the average we saw was down here at 333. It used to be down at 322. It's gotten a little bit heavier from this latest data I put in. But I said one of the things that I don't want to do is look at data. I don't want to look at data too much where I don't have enough points, right? So when I hear some players I bought and did things in the past, that's based on what it was before. So Alec Marsh, for example, I've got 3,500 at bats against Alec Marsh with a 308 in iron. So this has been what people are playing. Brandon Beliak has 1,481. Max Castillo has 1,400. So right now, let's go through and just take a look at the people with over 1,000 at bats. Now that I've got more data in here. And now I'm going to take a look at all the people with at least 1,000 at bats against them. And again, here's the grand total where you can see this is the average. So players like Alex Vesia, worse than the average, giving up more runs, a higher wOBA. Thank you for sharing that, Spore. And I thought you should be able to do links now, but wOBA. So this allows you to go through and just kind of see, like, Brett Anderson is somebody I've liked. Well, in a different one. So there's just an interesting look. Max Castillo, Beliak, Marsh, Smith, Sandy Vance, Couch, Forsh. Like you said, Forsh, decent. Pug Cavat is someone I've used. Jose Budo. And so now you say, well, okay, this gives me some of the top guys, but sometimes you want to go through and let's go take a look at some of those at 500 that may not be playing as much, but might be kind of secretly doing well. Garrett Clevenger, who just signed back with the White Sox, I believe. Jose Soriano. Wheeler Westervelt. Julian Merriweather. So this gives us a couple more names and others to look at that have higher performing things. Again, take it with... Oh, it was Mike Clevenger. Sorry. Sometimes those sample sizes get skewed by teams that make early exits through no fault of their own. So this is a true thing as well. Um, but I'm not sure how to model for that. There's not much you can do. So that's just taking a look at some of that from the pitching standpoint. Again, you can do the same thing on the hitting standpoint. Google Fangraphs shutdowns for the link I was trying to post more details. Okay. Fangraphs.com shutdowns. Is this what you were looking for? Yeah. Well, that didn't really help. Did that work? It did work. Early Gold 2 set in a park that favors righty power, but set in 1968 is very interesting to build for. So, yes, this is not taking into account like more esoteric builds, right? This is like generic iron parks, but again, you're going to have other factors as you go through. So as you start, if you start mixing different things, you'll start to get different impacts of things in your stats. So take that all with a grain of salt, right? I'm looking for just something to guide me in looking at different cards, understand why these cards might be doing well. Let's go take a look at Garrett Clevenger just for funsies and see what that actually means. Assuming I can find the game. I did not win, which is why I'm doing this. Card shop. Garrett Clevenger. I can't spell. Clevenger. Hard cards I own. Garrett Clevenger. So this control is not great, but in iron, the stuff is playing up. 155 V left. If someone's doing a very V left, you might get away with the really poor control because you've got good BABIP. And again, might do something to make something work well. So I think it's an interesting, way to go through and look at a card and try to understand what's going on with this card. Again, high P BABIP, decent. I like to see in the 70s for home run allowed, so he's going to give him home runs. But in iron, this kind of stuff if you're countering, you're thinking right now that a lot of people are playing high control, high home run allowed pitchers, and you're countering that with power and eye guys that strike out a lot, then a Garrett Clevenger is going to counter the high power and eye guys that strike out a lot by striking out a lot of guys, especially V left. Yes, having tournaments being able to give you V left and V right splits would be nice, so you can kind of get that. We're glossing over that, especially for hitters and pitchers, right? Like Clevenger may be amazing V left, and he's probably pretty pedestrian V right. So there you go. There you go. Another on this card, Max Castillo. Why is Max Castillo kind of an interesting card that's doing well in irons right now? Max. So Max, again, high control. He's a scary play to me. The home run allowed is not great, but he doesn't have the low stuff that you get with some high control. So maybe that's kind of doing some back and forth with that. What's another player we had? Jose Soriano. Jose Soriano as a card has, again, lots of high stuff. So in iron, where you have a lot of hitters that are probably very high power and eye, a guy with a great strikeout stuff is probably doing well against them. And so let's go take a look. So this is giving you an idea for the pitcher side. I've got a similar type of thing we can do for hitters. So let's go through and do some of the hitting updates. So I'm going to go in my iron batters raw, and I'm going to go add in, I always like just to add in a row. I don't really have to do this, but we're going to go through and file, Import. I'm going to upload a file. Let's see if I can find it again. Okay, I've got my hitting. Drop that in. Going to append. Import data. Edit. Delete row. Go to the bottom again. And then I'm going to file, import, upload, and I have a second one here. And again, I'm doing something you probably will want to do. I'm putting both the daily late iron and the daily early iron in the same file, and I shouldn't, right? But I've got it filed differently. I can, over time, do this better. But I'm doing something quick and dirty for you guys. And edit, delete, and row. Okay, and then I'm going to go over here, and again, I've got some extra data I'm adding in. What do I have in this column? Nothing? Why position? I add in position just as a filter. Been a while since I updated. You can see it's been like a week since I updated my iron data. So now I'm going to go through and do this, and 401, 4. Fill this out, copy that all down, and now we've got all the data for the hitters. Maybe copy, paste. Great. Now let's go over and look at where the magic happens again. I've got this entire thing set up again where it's aggregating all the players. And then over here, I'm calculating, and again, your wOBA should match. My wOBA 0.335 is very similar to what I have for the pitching wOBA. Future Legends Volume 1's coming Thursday. I have to work on Guess the Set after this, which is usually what I'm doing at this time of the day. But we'll do that soon. We'll get to Dr. Dynastic shortly here. So now I've got the data in. And I have got to make sure I've got everything on this. Let's go through, edit, and make sure I've got all the columns in. See? Got to make sure you get everything. Great, 335 still there. Got 370 rows. Let's go through and take a look at the hitters. And again, I've done the same thing. I've basically copied over the player ID. I've taken the wOBA, the at-bats. The overall, I'm not sure what I'm getting for overall. This looks wrong. M2. Sum of, sea level. Well, I didn't want to sum on that. I'll play with that later. And position. So now I went through and I said, let me go take a look at corner infielders and seeing what everyone's playing in iron in corner infielders. And this is data from before. So now I can go through and see that people have played Babe Dahlgreen the most, 0.367 wOBA, and the corner infielders. So I like to look at my corner infielders together to see who's playing what. The yellow is the most played. Right, so the grand total doesn't make a difference, but the yellow is most played. I should clean that up. But Bill Dahlgreen is played the most. Awamura, again, not a lot of at-bats. Same thing with Lennon Sosa, Sam Leslie. So, Cody Clemens, believe it or not, is looking good there on the corners. Matt Adams, not a lot of players. You just passed up Awamura on the draft? Look again. Let's go take a look at middle infielders. Again, not a lot of at-bats. Take out my notes from before. We've got Pumpsy Green, Zach Short, Johnny Rawlings. Looks like Luis Garcia gets played a lot. Steve Huntz and Woody Held. There's the Woody Held everyone's been talking about. Woody Held playing the most. But you see, again, 335 was what we talked about before as the wOBA level. And again, Woody Held's getting so much play. This is probably what he really looks like. Pronunciations, I'm just going to do it all wrong. It's all going to be wrong. From now on, everything's going to be wrong. I promise you. Players with less playing time, like Luis Garcia, Jimmy Rawlings, Zach Short. Interesting. Let's go take a look at, again, Woody Held versus someone like Zach Short in the game. Let's go take a look at these guys. So Woody Held is kind of like what everyone's saying is that you can tell that many people have played it with that many at-bats. Really can't type. And again, power and eye combination, not a lot of BABIP, can play very solid second base. And who's the other person I was talking about? Zach Short. Zach Short, a little bit better BABIP. Gonna play up a little bit higher at 73. Again, it's something you can get easily. It's a live card for 10 perfect points that may perform slightly better. You couldn't consider WAR here for defensive positions. No, I'm really not. I am totally being offense only focused in my wOBA projections. So now you have to say, does the difference in the second base ratings, looking at his infield range, everything else, make up for what Woody Held has in those positions? And is Woody Held going to be a better second baseman? And Woody Held is probably a better second baseman. All the infield error is not great, but the turn double play is what you're looking for. So you're going to get more defense out of Woody Held, and the offense may be kind of average. And again, this is how I do it. There's probably tons of holes that anyone who does actually modeling can do that are going to make these players, you might want to choose somebody else. Luis Garcia is played by a lot of people in this. Luis Garcia. So again, not going to have the same range, a little bit more focused on BABIP and avoid Ks. Not going to hit you as much power, but has some power. It's not dead in power. So not even going there on Woody Held. So I don't know. Just again, it's worth taking a look at. And again, when everyone's doing one kind of build, it maybe plays to look at somebody else that may be worth looking at to build on instead. And outfielders, Curry Foley, Bob Musial, and Tip O'Neill get played the most out of everybody. And they're all way, way above the 330-something we're seeing in the average from an outfield standpoint. So, those seem pretty set. This crowd is wild. Great to have you here, Jam Elliott. Jam Elliott? Jamalot? Jamalot. Tip O'Neill is consistently terrible for you. Catcher's interesting. Again, Gary Sanchez gets played a ton. Steve Yeager and Darryl Porter are kind of the three meta catchers that people are going with right now. You'll see Darryl Porter. I'm showing a wOBA of 312. Yeager is right there at the kind of breaking line, and Gary Sanchez with a wOBA of 365 suggests he might be a little bit better. Don't overlook some other guys here like Bob Melvin, possibly. Ron Hodges. I like the Ron Hodges card. I play the Ron Hodges card. Let's go take a look at the Ron Hodges card while we're looking at stuff. Ron Hodges. Why can I not find Hodges? Ron H. Again, very much like the power and eye, but not a ton, with some gap power included. So doubles and some homers. Catcher framing of 88, which I like. Compare that to Sanchez. Framing of only 51. Again, going to give you a little more void Ks, a lot more power. Power and eye combo's better. You're going to take a little bit of a hit from the catcher framing. So And Porter definitely, yeah, it's a good Porter. Looking at little Daryl Porter, again, really great framing. Got some nice power and eye going through, but the BABIP is just horrid. I cannot play this card with a 35 BABIP. I'm not going to do it. So when you're looking at different cards that you might be able to play, and then Jaeger. Jaeger's also the nut one, which I know this is Don't Get the D Black Dragon's favorite. Not Joe, but Steve. Again, catcher framing, 70. He's got much better BABIP, and he's got the power eye. So this is a catcher I like as well. I think the Jaeger, so I like the Jaeger and Hodges as my combo from that. So it's a nice mix of things. And again, this is just taking the data from multiple ones and looking at it, and you can do it on your own, and you can make a decision like, hey, I want to play. Well, what does this Bob Melvin look like? Let's go take a look at the Bob Melvin, right? We're looking at the stats. And this Bob Melvin's not played a lot, but he seemed to perform well. Sawatsky. So let's look at Melvin and Sawatsky. Not played very often, had some good performance. Let's look at Melvin. And doesn't have the eye. I don't think I'd play him as much. Decent framing and blocking. And Sawatsky. Again, decent framing. Doesn't have much of an arm. Lots of power and eye. And again, that BABIP in the 40s, not something I like. So you can see, again, by having those smaller samples, that smaller sample is not going to give me as much data as I need to feel confident in this number. Like, oh, he's going to be, he's got the best wOBA. Well, it was only 203 at-bats, right? Versus Daryl Porter here at 1,498, I kind of know what I'm getting. Steve Jaeger, I have a better feel for what I'm getting. Gary Sanchez, I know what I'm getting a little bit. But I also kind of like the Gil. I kind of like just the shape of the Ron Hodges. So it's helpful to kind of take a look at some of these cards, figure out which one fits for you, and then determine what makes the most sense. But that is kind of the data extraction that I do on tourneys, and just do a little refresh. If I can do it once a week or once every 2 weeks just to see if things have changed in the meta, that's what I'll do to kind of go through and see what type of things might play or might not play as we go through. Joey Meneses gets played a lot here. Again, on first and third, you've got a lot of options that are going to be above the 333. Where you're really hurting is in the middle infielders and finding people in second and short that can bat to that level you're looking for. So Willie Bloomquist is right about an average player right now. Let's go take a look at that one real quick. Guys, let me know if Dr. Dynastic is up. Again, this is just a little interim stream talking about data. Do I ever look at BABIP? Or just take it from the card? Sawatsky. I just look at the wOBA. I like wOBA. He's not online yet? Okay. So who was I taking a look at? I was looking at middle infielder. Willie Bloomquist is kind of the standard. Bloom. And again, no power, no eye. I was looking at the Sultan of Sawatsky. This is true. Yeah, wOBA is my favorite. And you can use it for both pitchers and hitters. So it's like my easy, I create one equation. I can use it for both. And I can, kind of judge it. There are tons of flaws and assumptions made in this, but it gives me at least an idea of what cards. I can see what cards people are playing a lot. And then I can also judge, like, well, I don't know why they're playing that Porter. I'd rather be playing the Jaeger than the Porter, right? So yeah, this is an interesting card. Again, lots of BABIP. Gonna hit some doubles, but again, the eye is gonna take back a little bit from it. Can play a little bit of shortstop, not great. Second base at 68, okay. The infield range is horrible for middle infield. So he's got, for what you're getting in the bat, you're gonna hurt a lot in that middle infield by not having the range you want at second and short. Ooh, are you close? Is it at the finals? Hookah, 7 Doncic. Then Bagels and Schmear. Very excited to see his win today. Did Donka the Black Dragon finally get defeated? Nice. Who you going up against? Any other questions on like my quick and dirty data stuff? I just thought it's an interesting way of extracting data and playing with stuff in the game. And oh, Jerry, I'm sorry if you felt like if spelling bee was not you're like, what we found is that at the time we found, like, when we were doing the research, people we said were like word games. They were either librarians who had knowledge and used stuff for like the crossword, or they were engineers, could see a bunch of letters and make words out of them. And that's why we decided to launch Spelling Bee back in the day, to kind of do that. Toronto Pax is a name you're facing. I don't know who that is. Well, good luck. And so, yeah, you might be good at one, but you don't have to be good at both. There's some people who can kind of play both, but usually they're kind of different things. Anyway, this is all I got. Jerry and I are in the 60s league, and my Dodgers in the 60s are just imploding. Did y'all look at pitcher data? I did, London. Let's go look at pitcher again. We're looking at some of the best pitchers versus, again, the average around 3.33. I've got a 500 at bats against, so take it with a grain of salt. The Sherry Smith is used by a ton of people. Alec Marsh by more, and Jimmy Couch. So let's look at Marsh, Sherry Smith, and Couch. See if I can, how far my brain can remember those three. Sherry Smith. Now, you guys got to help me out when I'm doing something wrong here and help me on my iron. I've helped you show you some of my data, so you got to help me figure out what I should do for my pitching. Let's see. Smith. Sherry Smith.
Holy cow!
Thank you for the cheer, Kurzov. Appreciate it. Every little bit helps. Sherry Smith, again, we talked about this. The great control. Good home run up against in that plus 75. You can get away with the stuff. A lot of similar guys, yeah. Johnny Couch, again, high control. Good P-BAP up a little low on the home run against. And I knew I'd forget one. It was Marsh. Alec Marsh. Really? This Alec Marsh? That doesn't seem right. It's the only Alec Marsh I know, though. There you go. Live Alec Marsh. Brandon Bilac. Again, another one. I'm looking at it. I don't know. This Alec Marsh? I know. How many Alec Marshes are there? So guys, I have to get ready for Guess This Set. I got to go through and figure out what kind of bunk to feed you guys. I haven't looked yet at the note of what we're gonna get for Future Legends tomorrow. Porcello was a bad idea. I don't know. Paul Skeens is a good guess. Typical high control, balanced P-BABIP home run against is the blueprint mostly played. Yeah, this is true. That is kind of the thing. Again, you're getting a little low in the home run against and a little low in the P-BABIP. You're going to take a little bit more a hit. Let's see what Porcello got us in the stats. Let's go find Porcello here in the stats. Assuming I can get on the right page. So Porcello, 335, just about average, not used a ton, only about 119 bats in my sample size, so take that with a grain of salt. Some other pitchers, oh, that's not helpful. Pop-up prospects. Yes, I got to work on my bunk. The future legends Wyatt Langford. Dude, I am in a very I'm in a kind of like it's not real. It doesn't feel like real fantasy baseball. I'm playing in a 10-team league in full MLB, and I have Evan Carter, Dallas Garcia, Wyatt Langford, Josh Young. Oh, what a horrible, horrible injury. I hope for a speedy recovery for him. I have pretty much all of Texas, and I just picked up Duran, who's going to be hopefully playing most at third base. So, what did I do? Isn't it Rick Porcello? Was I wrong, Rick Porcello? Any other pitchers you guys use in Iron? You want to see what I show for the BABIP? Happy to go through and highlight some players that you think you use and how they look in my data. Ricky Bonus. Lots of at bats. He's got a 325, so slightly above the line there. Where is Bonus? Why am I not finding him here? Here we go. 4,380. So you can see here's the average 3,334. Ricky Bonus 4,380. My pitchers BABIP, wOBA, and my hitters wOBA are a little off because I'm probably not including some pitchers that are hitting in this stuff. Porcello, it's not Porcello? Fine. Go use Porcello all you want, music lessons. Tim Wakefield right there. So people use a lot of Jonathan Heasley, Jack Warhop, a little bit below average. Who's the most used that's not, like Jared Schuster is getting pummeled. Jared Schuster. Let's go take a look at Jared Schuster in the game and seeing what might be going on with the Jared Schuster card that explains some of what's going on here. Schuster. Jared. Again, the home run allowed is really important, and the control is not huge. So he's going to give up more homers. I agree. That's where I was getting it from. Porcello is a planet in the Star Wars universe, so I thought they named it after him. And over multiple universes and listening to this specific video of my pronunciation of him, when it was found in the archives and they said, oh, Porcello, that's a wonderful name for a planet. That's how it got named Porcello in the Star Wars universe. Just saying. So Jared Schuster, and again, V. Wright, you're going to have, like, he didn't have the stuff to get through. I don't know. So you can see why he might be getting hit a little bit harder. So again, I think this vision of what's working in Iron. Yes, please. Go at it, Subliminal Glory. In the Dagobah system, Porcello is not TTC eligible. He doesn't look too bad. I agree, don't get the D-Block Dragon, but I think it's because he's just kind of everything, and this is an interesting test of what's important to make a player play well. And so he'd probably, he's not too far off of average, but I think that home run allowed is more important this year than PBABIP. If you had the same numbers reversed with a PBABIP in the 79 and PBABIP in the 62 and the home runs allowed in the 79, I think it would play better. And then the control, again, is just a tad light. Do I care about ground ball, fly ball tendency? I mean, not as much. When I'm looking about ground ball and fly ball, I kind of think of it more of like I'm going to try to have a good defense and that matches what I'm doing and use some sliders to do that. If you compare it with Dunning, the control is too low for it. Yeah, see now this I feel like Dunning is an interesting Like I think Dunning would do better, but he's bronze, so it doesn't really help. So I wouldn't let flyball and extreme flyball make you nervous. Again, one of the things that's a misconception in the game is that a flyball, extreme flyball, means that you're going to hit more home runs. It does not. Power and home run against is what's the home runs getting hit against. Fly balls just mean are the balls getting hit to the outfield, or are they getting hit? Ground ball means they're getting hit to the infield. So if it's an extreme fly ball, it just means that more of the hits, are going to be towards the outfielders. Do you have outfielders with great range to go track them down? It does not mean more home runs. So that's just kind of a key thing to kind of look at. It just means you need better outfielders. So don't let that extreme fly ball tendency, if you've got extreme fly ball tendency but 100, in home run allowed, then you're going to be fine. So Jabin 27 and Hookah, you guys are both in the finals there in the Daily Bagels and Schmear. Well, welcome in. One of you two is going to get 5 points. If you don't realize this, you're in a tournament that whoever gets the most points at the end of the month gets an additional 20 packs in the Bagels and Schmear. Yes, if you're playing in a wiffle ball park, then you do have a problem. If you have a lot of poor home run allowed players. Yes, the Daily Bagels and Schmear has a monthly thing. I should do this. I should show this off while I've got you all here. The Bagels and Schmear. Well, let me find this instead. I'll find a slide. Because this was, again, another impromptu, unexpected stream. Always here to fill in. Is Dr. Dynastic live yet? So confused. I thought I made you a moderator, Spore. I really did. I thought I made you a VIP, but I couldn't find the moderator thing. I'm just bad. I'm always camping and vamping. Well, Dr. Dynastic, I don't want to hear too much more about your personal life. Yes, he thought I was vaping. Very irritating, Paul. I couldn't find the moderator section in my frickin' the Twitch thing is such an unholy mess of figuring things out of where to find all the things are. Like, how hard is it to find where the moderators are? Back to the Bagels and Schmear. This is how the Bagels and Schmear work. Let's see if I can do this without messing things up. This fires off every day at 10:15 a.m. 10:15 a.m. now. Historical cards only, no DH. I think we're still in Ebbets Field. We'll rotate at different New York historic stadiums every month. And then if you win overall, you get 5 points. If you're second, you get 3 points. If you're third or fourth, you get 1 point. The most points at the end of the month wins 20 packs. If you at all got in the top 4 at any point, I'll get to max. I'll get that in a second. If you're at any point, if you got in the top 4 during the month of April, we'll do a random drawing spin for 5 packs. And if you beat my EVCs, one of my EVCs teams in there, the person who beats my teams the most during the month will get an additional 5 packs. If it's a tie, then we go to tiebreakers. We spin everyone who is at that same level. So that's what we got on the Daily Bagels and Schmear. Again, you don't get the D-Block Dragon. Was last month's winner, assuming I can get to the slide properly. The Bone Bruisers were our March champs with 13 points, 2 wins, and 1 second place on the month. A lot of other teams getting at least 1 win and 3rd or 4th place. So Lox Bagel is the meta. Everything Bagel is the meta. So get in there on the Bagels and Cream. The leaderboard will be at Bagels. I'm trying to work with it a little bit more and make it cleaner. I'm trying to figure out how to do it, but we'll get April's leaderboard up and rolling pretty shortly. So congratulations to our 2 finalists who are in the chat going at it today. It is Hookah 7 Dochik and Jabin 27. And good luck to both of you in that final. Where are we? What else we got going on? Someone wanted to see Maxwell. Maxwell's a hitter. Let's go take a look at my stats again. Not there. Where'd it go? Not Daigle Bailey this year. The Iron Tourney stats. Bat. Maxwell. Justin Maxwell. Justin Maxwell. I'm on the wrong sheet, so that makes it hard to find it. Justin Maxwell, a 355. wOBA. So in the outfield, Justin Maxwell is right here. So again, the big three that people are using is Curry Foley, Bob Musial, and Tip O'Neill, and Justin Maxwell seems to be right there in that list, but a little bit below the other players here, the O'Neill. And again, they may not be playing in the outfield, they may be playing in different spots, but just something to kind of take a look at when looking at this. But that's probably the fourth most played outfielder, at least getting at bats within the data set that I pulled. Jim Landis. Again, above average, but not by much. Ian Happ, down here, right about at average at 1378. Also played a little bit more. Brett Phillips, again, played for the defense. A little bit below average on that. Ryan McKenna, way below average. Don't play Ryan McKenna. Let's go take a look at Ryan McKenna in the game. And Dr. Dynastic, if you're around, let me know. You just went live. The thing is 64 is about to happen. Guys, it's been a lot of fun. Glad I could kind of jump in and do a quick little stream for you guys without all my doodads and slides and whatnot. Thank you all for hanging out. Yeah, Landis is great defensively, but fell out for Phillips and Maxwell. There you go. A little data for your Tuesday afternoon. See me tomorrow, Wednesday noon. We'll be doing Guess the Set. We'll be guessing what future legends are coming out tomorrow. I'm a New York legend. I'm not perfect. I'm just a 97. Let's go right into Dr. Dynamic. He's got his tournament of 64. The man, the hardest working, silky smooth guy. See, now it wants me to raid. He wants me to raid into Alf. Let's go right into Dr. Dynastic, who's starting up in about 2 minutes. Is there any other questions? I got 2 minutes before Dr. Dynastic starts, apparently. Anyway, guys, you guys are awesome. Have yourself a wonderful rest of the week. I will see you tomorrow at noon. And it's been a blast. It's been a blast. We're rating over in 7 seconds. We got 1 minute and 36 seconds. Go take a rest break in between before the Dr. Dynamic stream starts. And I wish you all the best. Have a great one. Let's wish for Lap to get his power back. And if so, I'll see you on Lap's channel on Thursday at 11 a.m. Take care, everybody.
Sup, everyone.